Hey, Jason, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Perfect. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's been an interesting year so far. I relocated from Phoenix to Tucson in January, so 4 months ago. And my son was supposed to be starting college at ASU, Arizona State University. And then in February, he calls me from a hotel in Texas to tell me he changed his plans. I thought, is this a joke? Wow, okay. So, yeah, no, he was serious about, wanting to live with his buddy and, work full time and start his own business. I thought, all right, well, early 20s is a great time to do those things. So, but then in March, I had him come back here to Tucson to stay with me while he's waiting for his buddy to get his shit together and eventually live together in Texas. So, some adjusting. I'm back to being a head of household. Also had a bunch of health problems this month, but good news is I have a call with a client after this one at 2 o'clock my time. I might be making my third sale, so we'll see. But slowly but surely, I've earned $1,800 with this business so far, which is exactly what I invested in that LinkedIn ghostwriter coach who I worked with from last October through December, 3 months at $600 a month. And she helped me get established on LinkedIn and do direct messaging and stuff like that. And yeah, two sales came out of it so far. And this third one is from a referral from an old client of mine that we go back a few years. So doing pretty well on that front. I just need to do a lot more marketing. I definitely need to be doing more and staying consistent. And so I might be working with this cohort where they're going to be using Auto GPT to help AI assisted outreach and marketing and things like that. It's 500 a month and it's a month to month thing. So I might be working with these folks at Evergreen Marketing is who they're called. Evergreen. They're on LinkedIn. So
That's awesome.
so
So, the first question I want to ask you is where were you before the 90-day business builder program?
I was living in Phoenix with my son and the cat, and at the time was working as a 1099 independent contractor for my former employer that I worked for from 2011 to 2020 as a patent research analyst and examiner. Yeah, and at the beginning of 2022, they offered me an opportunity to work for them, as a contractor, and so I took that opportunity. I also had another job as a temp working as a skip tracer, so I was working two jobs and discovered Caleb on YouTube and really liked what he had to say. And then I learned about his 90-day business builder program, and I literally took 1 month's pay, which was 6 grand, and I turned it over to your team and hired you guys. And yeah, I really liked the program. I liked how it was very well laid out and planned. You pick out your niche. What are you selling? Information or products or a service? So I'm on the service route, B2B services. And I liked, yeah, how the plan was laid out, all the steps you need to do and when you need to take them. It really helped me stay focused for sure. It was a lot of work. It was a pretty tough to keep up with it working full time and all, but I did it, and the people were great to work with, yourself included. And the icing on the cake was the event that Caleb had in Guadalajara. It was unrelated, but I wanted to go and meet him in person and say thank you. This was the 30,000-foot view I needed to stay focused. Within 2 months after launching on LinkedIn, I made my first sale, which was in December. So I started the program, the 90-day program, in July. So 7 plus, so 5 months later, I got my first sale. Not bad.
That's awesome. So, before you started this program, you didn't have a business or anything. You were working a full-time job. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've had about four businesses in the past, going back to 2016, one from 2016 to 18, and I closed that business. And then it was a business I had from 2019 to 20, and then another one in 2020. So I think this is my fifth business I'm starting working on right now, and it's far more successful than any of my previous ventures. I've already, yeah, like I've said, made $1,800. I've already earned back what I invested in LinkedIn Ghostwriter. And my goal this year is to earn 10,000, which would be about what my startup fees would be altogether, including the 90-day business builder, the website, the branding, my professional photos, a LinkedIn coach. I even bought Caleb's $97 course, location independent sales course. I need to get back into that, delve back in. I'm just lately just not been very focused with my marketing. I need to stay more consistent with it for sure.
So, you said you had a few businesses before this one. Why do you think this one's so much more successful than the past four that you tried to start on your own?
Just simply the level of attention, the plan, the quote lesson plan, if you want to call it that, and the weekly meetings. I was part of a mentorship organization from 2019 to 2021. But it was just mentoring, it wasn't one-on-one or even group coaching. I was paying, I think, 48 a month for that service, where this, you're paying a lot more, but you're getting a lot more in return. The lesson plan and the weekly assignments, very, very valuable. If it wasn't for that, I might have just strayed way off course and not got anywhere. At least with your guys' help and the plan, the lessons, it made all the difference, I think.
Man, that's awesome to hear. I love that feedback. And it's been awesome to watch you absolutely kill it in this program. You did a great job of taking that guideline that we have and really running with it and taking it where it needs to go. Super happy to hear that. So where are you at now with your business then? How much money have you made? How many clients have you closed?
I've made 2 sales totaling $1,797 to be exact. The first search was a discount. It was normally would have been a $1,500 search, but the client said, "I'm on a tight budget. Can you work with 1,000?" I said, "I'm new to earn your business. I could make a concession." And so it had nothing to do with medical devices. It had to do with a really cool baby stroller, but I gladly accepted the business. I worked my tail off on it, and he referred me to someone else who bought a search from me. It was an $800 search. And this prospective client that I'm meeting with in an hour, I don't know if he's ready quite yet, needs a written description of his invention in order for me to do the actual search, but we'll see what he buys. It may be the $800 basic search, or maybe a $1,500 comprehensive search. We'll see. I was telling someone else, this is a very low overhead business. Now that all my business, my startup costs are behind me, it costs me less than $100 a month to run this business. I mean, that's just LinkedIn. I'm paying for LinkedIn, and I might upgrade the Sales Navigator. I might spend about $150 a month. And that's it. I told another consultant, one sale funds this business for months. So that's nice.
Wow. That was one of my next questions, is how much overhead are you spending? So that's almost all profit there. There's so little overhead with your business.
Exactly. And one thing that, it's kind of lousy is I'm ending my relationship with PayPal. I'm very tired of their 3.5% fee off the top. And then they make me wait 3 months to have my own money from the sale. So it's because I'm a new account. So I thought, okay, I don't need them anymore. So I'm just going to work with either like a direct bank transfer or write me a check. That'd be faster than PayPal. And that's kind of a side tangent, but some people need to know, if you're a brand new customer with PayPal, they might, take your money off the top and make you wait for your money. So it's one experience I wanted to tell other people about, is that look for other ways of collecting payment other than PayPal. Stripe might be a better deal, or a bank transfer. But like I said, my goal is 10,000 this year for this business. I could get there if I land half a dozen more. I think I need about half a dozen transactions. I could hit the $10,000 mark.
Wow, that's exciting. That's super exciting to hear. You'd bring up a good point there, and that's something that we've learned too, is PayPal sometimes does that to newer customers. So if you have a existing PayPal account, they might not do it to you, but if you're brand new, Stripe's probably the way to go. And that's what we've been learning too in this program. We're in our 4th iteration, and we've improved it every single time through. So I appreciate the feedback, and that's something that we've learned and helped people set up their Stripe accounts instead of PayPal if they're new. So
exactly. So thank you all for the continued feedback and guidance over it was 12 weeks. Definitely, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for this program. I also need to give a lot of credit to my LinkedIn ghostwriter, who, like I said, was the final link in that chain. So yeah, definitely.
absolutely. I think that was a great play on your part. And like you said, it wasn't a 90-day thing for you. It was 5 months. So there was a little bit more time in there, but that was your choice. You chose to do that, and you did that very smartly. You didn't try to rush it. So you set up everything and got it to where it needed to be before you did a real launch. And I think that really helped your success too.
Definitely. LinkedIn, it's a specialized platform, great for B2B types, but it takes specialized skills and knowledge to pull it off. I'm still learning, a lot. I even tried an email, I tried doing cold emails, and with my HubSpot account, I don't know, I sent maybe 100 emails and didn't really have any success to speak of. So That email, cold email is very technical with domains and all this stuff you need to manage. And there's also record keeping. When you're doing outreach, you need to keep accurate records of who you're reaching out to, how many contact attempts. So that's my biggest challenge right there, Jeff, with this being a solopreneur, is finding help with the outreach. Hopefully this AutoGPT $500 a month cohort might work for me. We'll see what happens, but I'll stay in touch with you all on this Basecamp and Discord.
Yeah, I know you will. I appreciate that too. You've been a pleasure to have in this program, and you've been an asset to everyone that's in the program with you. So really appreciate that. And I know you'll give us that feedback, and we'll let people know if it works.
Yes, definitely. Stay tuned and stay in touch. Thank you for all your help, Jeff. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. So how was your experience with the coaches and the accountability in the program?
I thought it was really good. I like, Basecamp is a very valuable asset. It really makes the communication work. Allow me to communicate with you. And of course, you've got plenty of other people you need to talk to. So Basecamp, I think, was invaluable in getting this business builder program to run and to function at all. Definitely. Communication it's like the gasoline or the lifeblood of anything, any organization. So Basecamp, good stuff.
How was the accountability specifically? Did you ever, feel like you didn't need it as much as some people? I felt like you were very on task, but when I reached out to you to hold you accountable, how was that?
Helpful. It's a nice icing on the cake sort of thing. I just like how, like I just said, the lesson plan that you produce at the beginning is kind of just like a syllabus for taking a course in college. That's a full semester. That's about 4 months. This is 3 months. So yeah, that quote syllabus was very, very valuable. It helped me stay on track more than anything else.
That's awesome, man. All right. So these next two questions kind of go hand in hand. First, I'm going to start with, what was the best part of the program?
Best part of the program. Okay, that's a tough one. Tough one to
Take your
answer.
time. These two are going to be a little tough because I'm putting you on the spot. But what was the best part?
Oh, shoot. Again, the big picture, the lesson plan. My old mentor from a couple of years ago would always say, you need to have a 30,000-foot perspective view of your business at all times. Well, this syllabus made that possible. It was a much better, overview of what I'm doing and what I need to do. I do want to note one thing. We pick out a niche in the beginning, and I was deciding on medical device startup companies would be a great niche to specialize in. But after a while, I thought to myself, well, I'm overlooking a huge niche, and that's patent attorneys and patent agents themselves, because usually when somebody has an invention, who do they talk to? A patent lawyer if they're really smart. So why not go right to the horse's mouth and get work directly from them? And that's how I was able to get these 2 sales, is working with the people who already understand what I do. There's really no education required for patent attorneys. They already know what a patent search is. They just don't have the time or the expertise to do it. And I was actually told this by a client. So changing my niche was a really good idea. Niching down is very important. And of course, knowing how to operate as a B2B service model. And so I think the 90-day business builder, hit those 2 goals really well. How to niche down and what questions to ask and where to go to research. I researched this niche and figured out what are their problems and got a list of their problems and said, well, I can help them with one thing, which is good. But, with patent attorney firms, they have different challenges than startups. So I guess, changing my niche might have cost me in some ways, but it benefited me ultimately in the end by getting 2 sales much more quicker than I would have if I had stayed with my original niche. Does that all make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Great answer to that. So conversely, what was the hardest part of the program for you?
Definitely marketing and outreach. That's definitely, it's a tougher thing for introverted folks, technical folks, for myself. If you already have, a salesperson background, if you've already done that kind of work, it's a bit easier. But, it's just, the marketing, Caleb stresses how important it is. Yeah, really is where the rubber meets the road. And if we don't get this part down, let people know we exist, we're not going to get that far. That's just the way it is.
Good. So that's a great answer to that. One piece of value in this program, in my perspective, is the other participants that are in the program with you. Did you get any help or feedback from the other participants?
I did, yes. So, yeah, trying to remember specific names. Chase is pretty helpful. A couple of the other guys had some feedback. And so, yeah, it was nice to be, in this cohort with the other guys who were going through the same thing, but with their own respective businesses. I know one guy was asking, is anybody else feeling overwhelmed trying to, keep up with everything? I said, yeah, I know it's a lot of work, but it's good to have other people to talk to, like peers, for sure.
Good. Yeah. I feel like that's such a great aspect of this program is that you're in it with like-minded individuals. So you're not just stuck with the coaches. You've got other people that are doing the same exact thing as you at the same time. So I'm glad that you found that helpful to have those people in the program help you along.
I even met a few of them in Guadalajara too for the seminar, which was nice.
That's so nice when you meet each other, especially Caleb's following. When you meet people with the same mindset as you in person, it's incredible. I met up with 7 or 8 people that are in a different program of Caleb's in Las Vegas in February. What a great time. And they all loved it. They were able to talk to people who thought just like them.
Yeah, that makes all the difference, I think.
All right, I got one more question.
Okay.
Give it to me. Do you recommend the 90-Day Business Builder and why?
Yes, I do. If you have, it's certainly not cheap, but if you need professional guidance, if you've never built a business before, it would be a good choice. Or if you already do have some experience like me, it's still a great option. There's no other plan. There's no other program like it in my experience. Closest match was that mentoring organization where I was paying $48 a month, and you can ask whatever questions you like, but it's not like any sort of professional hand holding and walking you through the fire sort of thing. That was more like, well, you're on your own and we're just here as peer support. This is next level. Definitely is. I think it was worth the price tag that I paid, and glad, it's tax deductible. But yeah, overall, I give it a good recommendation.
That's awesome, man. That's all the questions I have. So do you have any feedback or anything else that you want to say in this interview?
Not that I can think of. Just I appreciate being able to chat with you. Thank you for reaching out and asking how I was doing. And yeah, I know we all can stay in touch through the Basecamp and the Discord thing too, which is good.
Right. So you always have access to that Basecamp for as long as you live, basically, and as long as we have access to Basecamp. So that's another thing to mention is that when you get all of these tools and all these courses, they never go away. So when you want to start that second business, you still got all that stuff there for you.
Yeah, I had this knowledge and this experience base too, which that's a good teacher too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jason. I appreciate you taking the time on this call. Thank you for giving me the time to do this interview. And I'm so glad to get to see you and talk to you. And I'm looking forward to hearing the future.
Likewise, it was good chatting with you, Jeff. And I'll let everybody know how I'm doing in Basecamp.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
You bet. Take care. We'll talk again soon.